this whole summit has been about people who we love, and we wanted to have talk to all of y'all. And the next two guests that we have coming up are no exception. Amber, I've known her for almost 20 years, and she's the board chair of this organization that I've also come to know and love. And so the next two folks who you're about to hear from, Amber Cabral is a world renowned at this point, inclusion strategist, two-time author. The first book being, of course, Allies and Advocates, but the second is in our expo. If y'all saw in the actual big space, we're actually highlighting and elevating, say more about that, and other ways to speak up, push back, and advocate for yourself and others, diversity strategists for multiple big organizations, including Walmart and Gap Incorporated, so on and so forth. But more importantly, just a really passionate and loving and caring person. So she's the first person I want to elevate here. And of course, with her is somebody who I believe to be a movement builder, somebody who not just was a former educator, but really somebody who's very thoughtful about how we engage children, especially in their passions and how they approach things. I remember the first time I met her, I was like, yo, that something, I got to tell you something. And I was like, I have things to tell you. Like, it isn't enough that she was already like doing wonderful work, but now she's elevated it even more so. And I'm hoping more and more girls and practically everybody else can get a great sense of how to do this work more powerfully because they've heard her speak. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Miss Amber Cabral and Miss Takia Wallace McMillian to grace us with their presence.
Hey there.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Thank you, Jose, for that introduction. As he said, my name is Takia Wallace McMillian, and I am here with my friend Amber Cabral. I also call her my boss because she's in charge. And I'm excited to speak today to the great folks at Educolor as a former educator. And actually, I never say former educator. I put it in my bio once, and then I took it out because it's not. I don't feel like it's accurate. I think I'm going to be teaching until I perish, until I leave this earth and become an ancestor. But I taught public school in Dallas ISD for 18 years before leaving during the pandemic. I'm one of those teachers y'all talk about. I left during the pandemic, but it was for a good reason and what brings me here today. I began my teaching career in 2002 in one of the largest urban school districts in the country, Dallas ISD, and I started in gifted education. And if you know anything about gifted education, it's interesting. Let me say that. I didn't start my education background in the traditional sense in starting in a regular classroom and then moving up to gifted. I started in gifted at 22 years old. And so needless to say, I was supposed to be teaching students, but they were teaching me because I didn't even know how to balance a checkbook at the time. But the great thing about gifted is that it allowed me to meet young people where they were, assess what it was that they wanted to learn, and facilitate helping get them there. And it's so funny because even though I'm not in the classroom, I'm still doing that now with the work that I'm doing. And so we do a lot of independent study in the gifted classroom, right? What are you interested in? What do you want to do a deep dive into? I went to all these PBL, project-based learning conferences, and it was always about finding this idea and then building out from it, or figuring out where your interest lies in and how to get you in a place to where that was what you were doing. And I was used to my independent studiers in my classroom. But then in 2009, I had my own little independent studier when I gave birth to my daughter, Charlie. 3 years later in 2012, she really started deep diving. You know, I feel like she's a genius, you know, but she is really why we are here today. She told me in 2012 she wanted to take ballet, and you all can't tell, I'm in a t-shirt right now, a branded t-shirt, I have to say, and sweatpants, but I didn't know anything about ballet. but I did know that I wanted to do the exact same thing for my daughter that I'd done in my classrooms, which is identify that thing that you want to do and find a way for you to get to that place. And in this particular instance, it started something with as simple as finding a ballet class. And we live in Dallas, it's a very diverse city, so it seemed like it'd be very easy to find a very diverse ballet class. But one of the things that stuck out to me when I was on the Googles was that there were very few images of little girls of color engaged in ballet class. There were very few women of color online anywhere that were actually ballerinas. This is before Misty Copeland was promoted and before we learned of Michaela DePrince. And so at the time, you all know, we're teachers. We don't make a whole lot of money. So we all tend to moonlight somewhere, right? And I was moonlighting at the time as a freelance family photographer. I had a tribe of friends that I would go to whenever I had an idea that I wanted to bounce off of someone that I could trust. And I told them, said, hey, I went looking for a ballet class for my baby. I didn't see anything that looked like a space that I wanted to put her in as a Black woman and as a mom of a Black baby. And I feel like something needs to be done, but I don't know what that looks like or what that would be. But I feel like I could start with just like a photography project. I'll go around, I'll identify dancers that are enrolled in ballet programs and just take their picture. And it was really something as simple as that that started this whole thing. I put a casting call up on social media and I went to sleep. I woke up the next day, it had gone viral, and I learned very quickly that viral means you don't ever get to sleep again. So the reason I look the way that I look today is because I have not slept in almost 10 years. But the very first weekend of shooting the project, it really was set on me that something else had to be done about this issue that was important to me as a mom and wanting to put my baby in a safe space and wanting her to see herself in this safe space, but also to these other dancers that I was meeting who not only had been in those spaces, been the only one at the bar, the ballet bar, and their parents who felt like I need more community in helping her reach her goals in this space. And so after thinking about it for a while and kind of continuing on the journey, I reached out to a dear friend of mine who worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, we love a good set of letters in education. So I knew Amber was heavily involved in DEI. I knew that she could fill in a lot of the gaps that I had as far as language and just being able to communicate to people with what I wanted to see in this project that I was building. And I said, hey, I am thinking of making this project something that is bigger than just something that lives on social media, and I need help. Would you be willing to be my board chair? And I thought she was going to say no, and she said yes.
And now I am a forever hostage. So I am so happy to be a part of Brown Girls Do Ballet. The title of this session is We Rise by Lifting Others, how a project became a movement. So Takia told you the back half of that, how a project became a movement. It is something that she kind of stepped into thinking she was just really trying to inspire her baby, as many of you can probably relate to. And it has now become her career, and will definitely be a huge part of her legacy. So when she reached out to me, I was really excited to participate, but for some very specific reasons. And so We Rise by Lifting Others is something that Brown Girls Do Ballet has lived by. We have been really deliberate about trying to make sure that we highlight talent, we highlight challenges. Challenges are really important, y'all. Got to highlight those challenges. And then we also highlight wins. And so we've really been deliberate about making sure that people see with Brown Girls Do Ballet that there is a side to ballet that they may be missing. And it's a really, really dope side. And so what we've tried to do through Rising by Lifting Others is make sure that we're growing our community, that we're highlighting, we're supporting. We give lots of scholarships and mentorship and money and support and point shoes out of the nose more than you can imagine. But also, one of the things, for me personally is that, I really care about, as Takia mentioned, inclusion and equity. Diversity, inclusion, and equity are really dear to my heart. I am originally from Detroit, Michigan. It's the blackest city in the nation. I'm very proud to always remind people of that. And so I grew up with a lot of opportunity to see what diversity looked like. And I saw myself very well represented. But when I started to travel, that was very different. And so for me, having a connection to anything that is going to create spaces where people can be seen, safe, and heard is definitely going to resonate with me. But when you add ballet to the mix, as a former dancer, I was completely sold. And so just a little bit about me in terms of background. I am a former dancer. I am also the oldest of two children. I adopted my sister legally, so I am her sister mom. We're just hitting those points where we feel like sisters. I also adopted another teenager in my 20s. I've always been really heavy on responsibility and really heavy on the ways that we can show up and make an impact on community. And so this felt like an opportunity to continue that, particularly with, I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb. People feel a little weird about this, with a sport that I love, because if you've ever put a pair of point shoes on your feet, you know it is indeed a sport. And so I felt really warm about this. I was just like, oh, yes, we need to do this. And so I'm really excited to have been the chair for Brown Girls Do Ballet for, like, I cannot believe this organization has almost been around 10 years. Like, it's
almost 10 years.
Mind blowing. And so just, a little bit about my career. I actually got involved with diversity, equity, and inclusion with an organization that many of you may know as Blue Cross Blue Shield. I was working in a call center. I moved on to actually get voluntold that I needed to help support their diversity efforts. This is back when it was diversity and no equity or inclusion had been thought of. And so I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the work. I ended up relocating to Atlanta and realized that something was missing because I went looking for a job doing what I was doing in the healthcare field and not in D&I. I ultimately ended up transitioning to Walmart, where I went on to have a really fantastic career leading mentorship globally, leading their corporate intern program, redesigning their corporate culture, as well as leading diversity strategy. And so for me, I've had the great opportunity of knowing what it looks like from a very personal level, from adopting and supporting and investing in my community and the people I care about in my own home. And then also having the opportunity to do like really big scale, like Walmart is the biggest company in the history of the world level of impacts for D&I. And so when I think about what I can bring to Brown Girls and what I try to bring to Brown Girls and what I think probably resonates with, those of you, all of you really, who are teachers, is, what am I able to contribute? And in this space, what that looks like with me running my own inclusion and equity, diversity focused firm is we make connections. You see all this Brown Girl stuff around me, right? Got my nice, fantastic Brown Girls mug handy. So does Takia. Right. So I'm really strategic about making sure that if I'm going to continue to support big brands and big businesses with their diversity, equity, and inclusion business through my company, I am deliberate about also making sure that I highlight the communities that they can support with their dollars. And so I am always positioning myself to say, oh, you see these point shoes over here? You too did ballet. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown Girls, this organization that I chair, so that we have the opportunity to also see some of those benefits show up in our communities and support our girls. And so with that, when we think about rising by lifting others, I want to just say that we would not be where we are today without the girls that we have supported. They give us all of our good ideas, because Takia and I are old and we do not have the best ideas, but they give us all our good ideas, and they absolutely inspire us to continue in this work, even when it feels like it's thankless and tireless. It is so warm and inspiring. And so I want to make sure that we invite our girls up so we can give you a chance to meet a few of them, and we can ask them a few questions and you can hear from them today.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there. Hey.
So far I see Allie, I see Javen, and I see Alea. I think we're waiting on one more. I'm sure she'll join us in a second. But I want to, before we have them introduce themselves, I just want to talk to you all about what we do. Do is a big word at Brown Girls Do Ballet. Yeah. One of the things that has been I think the biggest piece of what we do, like, it's great to give scholarship funds. That's wonderful. It's great to provide an online community and resources for girls. That's amazing. But one of the things that has really shown us to be the thing that we do is provide mentorship. And the idea of we call them ambassadors. So you're meeting some ambassadors today. They are our front line. They are the people who go out into the world and share the good work that we do. And they do a lot of good work. A lot of our girls have gone on to create their own nonprofits, and we help facilitate those. We're often their first fiscal sponsors. We have a lot of girls that have started their own community service projects under our umbrella that have morphed into their own businesses, which is amazing. These girls are phenomenal. And it's so funny because people always think, well, it's just ballet, but it's not. It's so much bigger than that. And so I'm excited that you'll get to talk to some of those young ladies today. So I'm going to go around. I think we're still missing someone, but she'll come in, I'm sure, soon. And I'll start with, I see Allie, Alea, and then Javen. If you all could just kind of go in order and introduce yourself, tell everyone where you live and how long you've been dancing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra, but all my friends and everybody I know calls me Allie. I live in Long Island, New York, in Baldwin, and I've been dancing since I was about 5, and I started doing ballet when I was around 7.
Hello, my name is Alea Walker. I live in Anderson, Indiana, and I've been dancing for 9 years.
All right. Hi, my name is Javen Buford, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been dancing for almost 15, 14 years.
Awesome. So Amber's going to serve as our moderator.
To what degree she's good at that. So I'm going to go in the same order. All right. So ladies, you can answer in the exact same order that we just went through a second ago. How did you find out about Brown Girls Do Ballet?
Okay, so I'll start. I found out about Brown Girls Do Ballet through social media, especially because I'm on the younger side. I'm only 13. My mom was the one that had and controlled my Instagram and all my social medias at the time. So when I started becoming a lot more serious when doing ballet, she introduced me to the Brown Girls Do Ballet Instagram page, and she said, they have ambassadors, they have mentorships. I think this would be great for you, especially if you want to advance in your career. This would definitely be something that you should try to apply for or join. And I did, and look where we are now. But yeah, that's how I found out about it.
Well, me and my mom were scrolling on social media, and we were looking at dancers. And we came across your guys' page because we saw brown girls doing ballet. And she was like, these are all brown girls. They all look like you. And, we'd never seen anything like that, really. So we decided to check out your guys' page. And we saw that you guys actually had, things where we could become ambassadors. And me and my mom thought that would be great for me because I've never really seen much diversity or dancers who look like me. So I think that the program would really be great for me. So me and my mom decided that I should try and become an ambassador.
Thank you, Alea. Javen.
So for me, I remember it was on the 4th of July, and my auntie, she came up to me and she was saying, have you seen Brown Girls Do Ballet? I was like, no, I haven't. Tell me about it. She was like, it will be really good for your brand and you need to get into it. And I think it will be good for you because she knew, as a single dancer, that I already promoted diversity and everything. So she told me about that, and I applied. I interviewed twice. I remember I interviewed twice, and now I'm here.
So you all probably pick up a theme. Social media has been really good to Brown Girls Do Ballet. So you heard Takia mention earlier, literally this was a photo project. She posted pictures really with the intention of buying herself some time. she thought, okay, I'm going to post these pictures and I'm going to let folks know I'm working on your photos, which were originally just intended to say, hey, I want my daughter to know there are brown dancers out here. And those pictures went crazy. And since then, Brown Girls has continued to have that same experience, which means that people think exactly, Jose, oops, I started a movement. People think we're bigger than we are. We're really actually a very small organization, and it's just a lot of folks who work really hard to make things happen. But we lean really heavily on social media. And one of the things I think we take as a lesson from that is to never underestimate the impact of what we post. And so we're really thoughtful about how we share Brown Girls Instagram, how we use it, how we connect with people on it, who we allow to post on it, because we're very clear that it's really what has driven our brand forward. And we also understand the significance of the impact, because these young ladies hadn't seen themselves represented online in this way. And then they found it and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of that. So big deal there. All right, my second question, and this time we'll go in reverse order. So I'll start with you, Javen. What are some of the things that we have done at Brown Girls Do Ballet that you've seen, that you've had the opportunity to see and be exposed to? What are some of those things?
So the major thing that we do is promote diversity in ballet and other forms of dance. And we've had many meetings about mentoring. We've had podcasts. We usually every month, not every month, we have our own like thing that we post, and we talk about being an ambassador and talk about our experience with dance. And yes, it's a lot. I could go on for days, but it's a lot.
Thank you, Javen. Alea, can you chime in?
So mostly like the thing that we promote is diversity, and other things that we have, like we have the point shoe project where we supply point shoes for girls because point shoes are very expensive. And there's also the supply closet, because there have been times where there are shortages of dance supplies and dance clothes. So we supply that for girls. And then there's scholarships. So we have like a lot that helps supply girls, because there are things that have happened in the dance world because there's shortages and stuff like that. So I think that those have really helped.
Thank you, Alea. Alexandra.
Yeah, I agree with what both of the girls were saying. And I also think when you think of what do we give, some people think a lot about materials, but we also spread awareness to everybody, that not even through social media, but in person contact, ambassadors going around spreading awareness through their communities. Personally, I went to my local Capizio store and I saw that they didn't have any like brown ballerinas on the stands, like being on display, and I thought they didn't even sell skin colored shoes. So because what I would have to do is buy the point shoes and then dye them myself using makeup or point shoe paint. So my mom emailed them and kind of asked them if it would be okay if I made a poster with some famous brown ballerinas, so for Black History Month they could put it in their store display. And at first we didn't want to ask them in person, because if they say no, like they would be kind of pressured to make their decision. But finally they got back to us and they said yes. So I think that those are just the little things that really help others, and it's not just money or grants or shoes. It's also just the information and the education that comes along with it too.
I love that she chimed in and added that. I wanted you to just get a sense of like what we mean when we say our ambassadors show up. Like they are the ones that are like, hey, I have this idea. I'm going to do this. And we're like, oh, okay, well, how can we help you?
That's really the important piece here. I think as adults, we always think, what can I throw at this situation to make it easier? But the girls on the ground are the reason that so many of the internal programs even exist. Our point shoe program exists because of an ambassador. Our supply closet exists because of an ambassador. When we do relief efforts, if an area has been impacted by flood, hurricane, whatever the situation may be, and we want to kind of give a sense of normalcy to young dancers that may have been in that area, the things that we do, all of those ideas were initiated by ambassadors as far back as 2017. Yeah. So every initiative that we have in place was made by young people just like this.
Exactly. Okay, my next question, and I'm going to start with you, Alea, for this one. How have you benefited by being a part of Brown Girls Do Ballet? Alea's first. There you go.
So I have benefited because it helped me gain confidence. Because when we found out about Brown Girls Do Ballet, I'd never really seen any brown girls like me dancing. So we started finding out about Brown Girls Do Ballet and that there are other brown girl dancers out there. And that really helped me gain confidence because I've really never known any brown dancers my age or anything. So that's really helped me gain my confidence in dancing too.
Thank you for that. Javen, how have you benefited from Brown Girls Do Ballet?
So for me personally, it encouraged me to start my own program initiative. And it's called Dance Shoes. Yay. Dance Shoes with the Z. And it's where I give old, gently used dance shoes to those who are of the less fortunate. So through that process and it adding on to my brand, I know usually when I go to like a dance intensive or a dance competition or just anywhere, they're like, "Are you a Brown Girls Do Ballet master?" And I'm like, "Yes." Would you like to know more about it? So it just adds more, like Aaliyah said, more confidence to me, and yeah. So
Thank you. And Ali, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I agree with both the girls. I think it definitely helped me kind of get out of my shell, especially being a brown dancer. Like I never really talked about it, and now that's like all I talk about. And yeah, what Aaliyah was saying, like you don't see many of us who look or have this skin color and have this hair dancing and being advertised in all these dance magazines and all these dance pictures with these photographers. So I think it definitely helped me grow confidence to also kind of use it myself to let other people know, like, you're not alone. There's other people that look like you that have made it. And it kind of shows you that you can make it too if you work hard and keep being determined.
I love that. Thank you for that. Takia, why don't you answer that one? How have you benefited by being a part of Brown Girls Do Ballet?
You know what? So this is this little lady on my shirt who's also on my mug. She has a whole personality. Her name is Bella. She is our icon. She is my third child because I had another baby in the middle of all of this. And it's so funny because when I think about what I was set on this planet to do, I always knew I would work with young people. I knew I would work with young people from about the fourth grade. My teacher, her name was Miss Gloria Scott, may she rest in peace, was the first Black teacher I'd ever had. And she was the first teacher I'd ever had who poured into me. And she was only my teacher for 1 year, but we stayed in contact. And I knew that I wanted to be like Miss Scott. And so on the journey, you end up doing different things. I went to school for something else. And then when I graduated, I had this job thrown on me that I knew nothing about in the classroom. It's become a full circle moment for me. I'm living my dreams, helping them reach theirs. And so that's what Brown Girls has done for me. I'm not a former dancer. I didn't come into this space as someone who always knew she wanted to be connected to the dance and art community. But I knew I always wanted to help young people. And I just didn't think it would happen like this under the ballet umbrella, but I'm here and I'm grateful.
I love that answer. I'm going to chime in and say, being a part of Brown Girls for me has been a benefit as well. I'm the chair of the organization, which means I get to say no to Takia, which no one else really gets to do. I don't say no very often, but one of the things that Brown Girls has done for me is that it creates an opportunity to really bring down some of those really businessy spaces into like the community space. And so because I work with a lot of big companies, I mean, I'm talking about big brands, y'all know, like Gap Inc. and, Wells Fargo and like these big brands, what happens is they're like really preoccupied with like this corporate structure stuff. And what Brown Girls allows me to do is bring in this element of like, hey, so just as a reminder, like I also do this thing and I care a lot about this thing. And this is something that is also what inclusion looks like and what equity looks like. And so it creates a really easy space for me as a leader. People see me as a leader in the DEI space to be able to remind folks like, hey, there's still work to be done on the ground. And here's a way you can do it. And if it's not this, there are other opportunities as well. And so I like being a part of Brown Girls because it gives me a chance to really quickly remind people it's not just where you are, it's where we all are. And you're not everywhere all the time. And so we have to be mindful when we're making decisions, when we're thinking about whether that's, how we're going to pay folks or what, our promotion rates look like and what, representation. You are setting examples and standards that are going to impact the young people that I am helping to support through this organization. And so I love having something I can really easily point to. And then also, the pictures, the pictures are amazing. And so the pictures alone will pull people in, even if they think they don't like ballet. They'll see a cute photo like these little babies and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And again, it gives an opportunity to have a healthy conversation. And I don't know that I have anything else in my life that would really as easily and as probably inviting would be the word, just something that's as easy and as inviting to get folks to kind of lean into what's actually happening at a community level. And we all know that some of the most important work that's being done is at the community level. Okay, I'm going to jump into my next question. My next question is, how has dance helped in other academic areas? And this time I'm going to start with you, Javen. How has dance helped in other academic areas?
Okay, so I was waiting for this question. I am a huge nerd. I love school, and dance has really impacted me through those academic areas. Personally in dance, I pick up really fast. It's taught me to pick up the combinations fast. Like the teacher will teach it maybe once and I'll get it. So for areas like math, when the teacher's teaching you a certain concept, a certain equation, a certain rule, I automatically get it. And I wouldn't have picked that, thing up if it wasn't for dance. So yes, picking things up, learning from my mistakes, because I am a perfectionist, and knowing that it's okay to fail as well. So yeah, that's how it's done that.
Thank you, Javen. Alea, how has dance helped you in other academic areas?
I think dance has helped me the most in school because it's helped me more focus in learning new things. Because in dance, you're always learning new things, whether it's like new steps or new corrections. And that translates to school because when the teacher's teaching something, you have to pick it up and you have to keep it in your head. And when you're dancing, you have to do that there too. Because if you're not focused or you're not listening, then you'll just forget something. And then you'll have to do it all over again. So I feel like it's helped me the most with focus and learning new things and keeping them in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember them calling out combinations when I took ballet, and you had to know what it was to be able to do it. So I can relate to that. Thank you, Alea. I would love to hear from you, Ali.
Yeah, I think that dance definitely helped me in school with learning different skills. Like, I used to be a big procrastinator, but when I started wearing point shoes, I would have to wear them the next day. So sewing them like the day that I got them was definitely something that I had to work on, and it's helped me now. Like, when I get homework, I'm not gonna wait till the night before to hand it in, or like a project or a test. So it's definitely helped me with that. I think also it's helped me with accepting change, because in dance, you're changing spots, you're changing, like, anything could happen and you just have to be okay with it. And I think that also applies in school. Like, maybe your grades may drop a little bit, maybe you're not used to this type of teaching, but you always kind of have to keep it together and tell yourself, like, even though I'm not used to this, I'm gonna get through it and I'm gonna be okay. But those are some of the things that dance has helped me with in school.
Yeah, I love these answers. I think people underestimate the impact of arts in general, but definitely dance on your ability to show up. Thank you for that pin. Yes, we are going to ask y'all some questions. So for those of you who are attendees, please make sure that you stick your questions in there and we will answer those as we go. I think that dance definitely helps in other academic areas because, first of all, the arts are, it's a form of academia. You're learning. You're learning about the history of the art form that you choose to study. In this case, we're talking about ballet, but even if that's something else, if it's painting, if it's singing, there's a lot of history that can be, studied that can help inform the way you show up today. And a lot of people that you can end up leaning into to say, oh, listen, I have this person that I absolutely adore. And what's amazing about the arts is like a lot of times it's somebody that no one's heard of. You find this one obscure dancer, artist, painter, singer that you really love. And that person ends up bringing to life for you like what it is that you really are passionate about. And I will tell you, I have had ambassadors mention dancers I'd never heard about, and so I get exposure from them. And so there's that layer, but there's also the fact that, there's just a lot of data that says that, music and dance, specifically moving your body and also listening to music, have an impact on your brain functioning. And so we underestimate just even the value of just engaging in activities that are not, what we consider to be studious, but are considered a part of the arts and the way that they connect to the health of our brains. And so I really love that, like, each of these ladies were able to share with you how it's impact their lives. But perhaps there's an opportunity even for you. I recently picked up tennis. Y'all do not want to see me tennis right now. It's not a good thing. But it is a thing that I have been thinking about from the standpoint of, I know that it's good for my brain to be challenged in that way. I know that it's really healthy for me to use my body differently, and that's going to help me show up and do my job better. And so even though we're talking to teachers and we're talking about ballet, I want to make sure I ask this question specifically because I wanted folks to understand the connection to learning, even though we are talking about something that doesn't necessarily feel like it's school. Takia, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that was amazing. I feel like oftentimes, because I was in the classroom, I know that arts programs get cut over first. The first to use funding. The last school that I taught at had a part-time art teacher, a part-time music teacher, and PE was full-time. And so you find yourself trying to find the rationale in that, knowing what on my end, knowing on the back end what arts actually do for young people. So I'm glad that we are able to engage our girls and they are able to continue to take dance classes outside. But I've also been really kind of deep diving, and it's something that Brown Girls will be addressing very soon, the idea of providing more public school dance programming. And I'm excited about that. I've, of course, gone head first into this because of the work that I'm doing with Brown Girls, and because I do get to visit schools around the country, and because of my background, I was a public school product, and I don't have my public school shirt on today, and I taught in public schools. It's important to me that we meet students where they are. So I'm glad that the girls can see the benefit of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm ready for my next set of questions. I'm going to start with you, Allie, this time. So my next question is, this is probably, is this a good question for the group? Let me hop around.
You know what? No, we've already kind of addressed that question. So I think you can go to the next one.
Yeah, I think we can skip that one. I'm going to tinker. I'm gonna tinker a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to ask. I'm gonna twist this question just a little bit. Y'all are ready though, because we know our ambassadors are always ready. So this is my question, Allie. This is where I'm starting. What do you think that teachers could do that would make an impact on students being more interested in other activities besides just what they're learning in the classroom?
So yeah, I've been waiting for this question too. I think definitely making whatever they're trying to kind of show, making it look more inclusive, because when you're just showing, like, for example, for ballet, if you're just going petite, skinny, lighter skinned girls in the class, you're not going to be advertising to me. You're not going to be advertising to other kids that look like me. I'm not going to be interested in that, because in my mind, I'm going to think, oh, that's not something that I'm meant to do. Let me look somewhere else. I think if you show and you explain that anybody can do it, regardless of race, religion, body type, it doesn't matter. I think it'll definitely make it look more inclusive, and you can show other people that it's not just this certain person that can do this. Everybody can.
Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you so much. Alea, I would love to hear from you. What do you think our teachers could do to help get their students more interested in other activities outside of the classroom?
I think they could start teaching about the arts and start helping their students learn more. And they could even go on field trips to see like musicals or ballets or things like that. Just expose them to more of the arts and show them that anyone can really do the arts, because the arts has so much history and it goes back for years and years. So I feel like if they just teach their students and show them that yes, the arts can be for anyone, and that yes, you can do that too.
Thank you so much, Alea. Javen, how can our teachers get y'all more involved and more exposure outside of what you're learning in the classroom? Get more interested in other activities.
Teachers can simply show up to their performances. I know my drama teacher showed up, my science teacher has showed up to my performance, and so has my science teacher, and also along with supporting them. And sharing their experience when it comes to how they've been impacted by the arts. Like I was saying, my math teacher, she was also a dancer, and that connection that me and her have now is unbreakable. And also, oh, and also, for example, for my math teacher, I never really wanted to perform for my school. It's also public school, and the dance program is not really taken as serious. So me bringing technique, I'm also a tapper. Me bringing that tap to my school, I thought they were just gonna fall asleep when I was performing, but they went wild when I was sharing my gift. So simply supporting, sharing the experience, and showing up.
I think most teachers really know the value of actually celebrating and showing up. But what I love about Javen's answer is the idea that it's about like the presence part of showing up, like actually attending. I think that's a super impactful perspective to add. And then the other thing that I want to add too around educators getting their students more interested in like other activities is like just having awareness of the value. There is more than just what you're getting in the classroom, it's application. And so I can remember very vividly, I have always struggled in math, but I can remember very vividly my second ballet teacher before I was on point for the very brief amount of time that I was, actually making a point to me about the angles of my body being like geometry. And I was like, makes so much sense. Like there is something to this. And so I was a lot more mindful about my positioning because I had this awareness that, oh, wait, this is actually what math shows up as. And we all know that sometimes our students have a hard time seeing, why is this useful for me? Why do I need to understand this calculation? And I think what that did for me was actually related to something that at the time I was really passionate about. And so there's also some value there, is recognizing that like the arts sometimes bring to life the thing that you're teaching. Sometimes it's history, sometimes it's English, sometimes it's math, but it can also, kind of connect in a way to a student's passion that they're interested in because it makes their body feel good and they really enjoy leaning into it. And it can actually kind of make a connection there so that they're more interested in what they're learning in the classroom. And so we see a lot of value in that sense as well. Takia, I want to give you a chance to chime in if you want to add anything there too.
I'm sorry. I'm just the girls today are doing it for me. I'll get emotional listening to them.
We do.
But I what I taught for 18 years was so much centered. It was very centered around allowing a student to learn the way that made sense for them, right? And so if you have a student who learns about a particular topic, but then wants to share out and use movement as her presentation style, like that makes sense to me. So I would love to see more educators take that into consideration when they're trying to get students to show what they've learned, because it's not always paper and pencil.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I have one more question that's on our list, and then we're going to dive into the questions that have been saved for us over on the side. So the last question that I'm going to ask y'all, and I'm going to start with you, Alea, for this one. Why do you think it's important that Brown Girls Do Ballet exists?
I think it's important because it shows other girls, like younger girls and younger brown dancers, that there are dancers like you and dancers of color and people that you can relate to. Because at most dance schools, you don't really see brown dancers, and there's not really focused on brown dancers because brown dancers are different from other dancers because the hair and the body and the skin. And I think that it shows that there is diversity to younger girls and that you're not alone and that there are other dances like you.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali, I'd love to hear from you on this one. Why do you think it's important that Brown Girls Do Ballet exists?
I think that it's really important for brown girls do ballet to exist because I think it helps shift the focus of what ballet is. Because when you think of ballet, you don't really think of all races, all colors doing ballet. And it also kind of shows other companies that it's not just like you have to open up your selection. You can't just have certain people modeling this. Like I think for me, one thing Brown Girls Do Ballet definitely opened for me was when I became an ambassador. I started definitely posting dance more, and that helped me get discovered. And now I'm a Capizio model, and I model a brown point shoe. And I think that like a little girl seeing my feet in a catalog and saying like, "Oh, mom, like that's my skin color. Like, can we get that shoe?" I think it's just amazing, and it kind of shows that there's different aspects to dance, not just what you're taught when you're younger.
I want to pause for a second and address, because I feel like if you are not familiar with the ballet world, you don't understand what a big deal she just said is. So the shoes, Amber has a pair of them right behind her. Those are point shoes. Right now they are running anywhere from about $120 a pair to, I think I paid $225 for a pair a couple of weeks ago. Depending on how much a dancer trains, she goes through a pair of those shoes in a matter of hours, depending on how much she trains. And so not only does that stop a lot of girls from pursuing higher levels of ballet, but also as you move up in higher levels of ballet and you get to the point where you are able to wear point shoes, if you are in a community that is a dance community that is not inclusive, you have to wear pink shoes. Ballet shoes are supposed to be the same color as to make a complete line on your body. If you are a brown girl, pink shoes do not match your skin. So the fact that Ali is getting a pair of point shoes in her skin tone and modeling that pair for a large dance brand, that's a big deal.
I want to just chime in and add, because Takia is always the really nice one, but I'm going to just go ahead and keep it extra real with y'all. These folks were not trying to change the color of these shoes.
No.
Like, I think what Brown Girls did really well. So when I think about the reason why it's really important that Brown Girls Do Ballet exists is because, like, in terms of an activism standpoint, what we've done really well is highlight some of the obstacles of being a brown ballerina. And so we showed the videos of like whole families around tables dyeing shoes for their pro dancer for the week who's going to dance through 10 pairs of shoes that ranged from, at that time it was like 70 to like $140, but they're gone. I mean, just like everything has gone up. Mm-hmm. And so you're looking at like folks that have like, this is a family affair. Like, people are investing in the experience of point shoes for their dancers and spending time on that. And so like we did a lot of work to make sure that people have visibility for like, listen, it's not just about us trying to like call out a certain category of folks. It's about you having awareness of the experience. It's like brown girls have wider feet. Like, we need a different shoe. There's a reason why a lot of brown ballerinas wear certain brands, because it makes room for us in that toe box. And so like those types of things aren't the kinds of things that you're going to hear elevated just in the dance community at large, but that you're going to definitely get the chance to talk about at Brown Girls Do Ballet. And so when I think about the reason why it's important that we exist, it's because of the uniqueness that we can bring to the conversation that will otherwise go overlooked. So I wanted to chime in with that. Okay, I know we're getting close on time. We've got like 7 minutes and we have a few questions. So let me hop over here and see what these are. Okay, the first question, this is for all of you young ladies. So what is something that you have learned about yourself, your character, or your power through this program? Okay. I would love to let's start with Javen. Let's start with you with that. What is something that you learned about yourself, your character, or your power through this program?
One thing that I've learned about myself is being resilient. And I say that because there was this one summer I went to a summer intensive, and immediately I was the only chocolate girl there, and everyone started talking about me, and they were talking about the uniform, and it was pink shoes, pink tights, and I was not comfortable with that at all because me going to a all black dance studio, I don't wear pink shoes and pink tights. So me being a Brown Girls Do Ballet ambassador, I went up to the director of the summer intensive and I was saying, me as a chocolate girl, I wear my flesh tone tights. I wear my flesh tone ballet shoes. I wear flesh tone anything. You see me, I'm not pink. You know what I'm saying? So now looking each year at that summer intensive, every time I see a chocolate girl, I see them with their flesh tones. I see them with their flesh tone ballet shoes. So being resilient and being confident as a black dancer, representation is everything. So yes.
Okay. I have to do one last question and then we need to wrap. I just got an alert. So I apologize that I won't give you to the chance to answer this question because I really want to hear from you. But we have to wrap up. So I want to be really clear. This is not personal. I'm just getting a nudge on the side. Okay. So Takia, this question is actually for you.
Okay.
I think this is the question I'm supposed to have to. Let me make sure that I'm right. Hold on. Yes, it looks like that's the question. Yes. Okay. So Takia, this question is for you. The question is, I'm sure you face challenges in starting Brown Girls Do Ballet. What was most important for you to remember with this journey?
Oh, that's an easy one. It's not about me. Um, there lots of opposition. So number one, I'm a woman of color. Number two, at the time I had a full-time job. I was in the classroom full-time. My last position was a STEAM coordinator, so I was all over the place. And it was exhausting constantly having doors closed in your face because you did not fit what was the prototype for someone who should be in this world, which is a waif thin former ballet dancer who now all of a sudden wants to help the next generation. I was a teacher mom, mediocre photographer who accidentally stumbled into this space, but also understood that the people you need to be listening to in this space are not the people who are currently sitting at the helms. The people you need to be listening to in this space are the young people who are on this call with us right now, because they see the bigger picture. They see how to create change. They know the language in ways that we don't know it because they're first generation to it, and a lot of them are members of these communities. And so there was lots of opposition, and there were many times that I wanted to quit, but I knew it wasn't about me and it wasn't how I felt uncomfortable in that space. I was listening to one of the speakers talk earlier today about how he was working at a particular school and the people behind him was telling him what to say to the students. I had to put myself right back in that same place because I've been in schools like that before. And I had to remind myself, this is not about you. This is about Javen. This is about Allie. This is about Alea. And when I remove myself from that position, it just, doors just continue to open. So even if you have those things that are coming at you and people are, I've had people ban me from dance conventions.
Yes, it's a real thing, y'all.
When you just remove your ego out of the situation and you continue to power through and you continue to knock the right doors open.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this is so amazing. I hate that we have to wrap. Y'all have been so fantastic. This has been such a good chat. I feel like we need to have a Brown Girls thing, and we probably will. But I want to say one thing before I ask Jose to close us out, which is, if you enjoy these young ladies and you want to support Brown Girls Do Ballet, please head over to either Brown Girls Do Ballet on Instagram or browngirlsdoballet.org, right? We're org. I always forget if we're org or com.
.org.com will lead you to
.org.com. Okay. browngirlsdoballet.org. And then you can support, you can find ways to support. We would welcome that. If you have someone in your companies that wants to donate big bucks, give me a call. We're happy to make that work too. And I will hand it over to Jose. Thank y'all, ladies. Y'all were great.
Ooh, that was amazing. Thanks, y'all. I'm so excited about how y'all really showed up. Please, my folks, give it up for Amber, Takia, Javen, Leia, and Alex, of course. I see you out there. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all were amazing. I know we have like a minute until the next one, so go take a breather, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, y'all.